A unanimous decision from the Supreme Court of the United States has just changed the rules for how police are allowed to search your vehicle during a traffic stop. And if you keep or carry a firearm in your car, this ruling dramatically affects what officers can and cannot do when they pull you over. This is no longer only about the Fourth Amendment. This ruling clarifies that your lawful right to possess a firearm in your vehicle cannot automatically become justification for a warrantless search. Let's talk about why that matters so much. Before this decision, some jurisdictions treated lawful gun ownership as if it created automatic probable cause. Think about how extreme that is. You exercise your legal right to keep a firearm for self-defense? You are doing nothing illegal. Yet in some cases, officers use that lawful activity as justification to search vehicles without consent and without a warrant. The court has now made clear that this approach is unconstitutional. Your Second Amendment rights and your Fourth Amendment rights operate together. Police cannot use one constitutional right as a reason to weaken another. If you're finding this useful so far, imagine what you'll learn in my next video, where I explain the exact words to use when an officer asks whether you have a firearm in your vehicle. I break down the specific phrases that can help protect you legally in all 50 states. Subscribe now so you don't miss it, because that information could help you avoid a wrongful arrest. Now let's look at what this ruling means in practical terms when you are carrying a firearm in your vehicle. First, if your state requires you to inform an officer that you are armed, that requirement still applies. This ruling does not change state notification laws, but here's what it does change. When you inform an officer that you have a legally possessed firearm in the vehicle, that fact alone cannot justify a full search of your car. Officers may still take reasonable safety precautions. They may ask you to step out of the vehicle. They may temporarily secure the firearm during the stop. Those actions are generally allowed under officer safety principles. However, they cannot use your lawful firearm possession as blanket permission to search your glove compartment, trunk, bags, or other personal areas of your vehicle. Second, the ruling emphasizes the requirement for specific, articulable facts. What does that mean in everyday language? It means the officer must point to observable details that reasonably suggest a crime is occurring. For example, if the officer smells marijuana in a state where it is illegal, that could establish probable cause. If drug paraphernalia is visible, that may qualify. If an illegal weapon is plainly visible, that qualifies. But simply suspecting you possess a legal firearm does not. Third, this ruling also protects you even if you appear nervous. Many people feel anxious during traffic stops. That's completely normal. In the past, some officers combined nervous behavior with a suspicion of a weapon to justify searches. This decision makes that reasoning much harder to use. Nervousness plus lawful gun ownership does not equal probable cause. Now, a quick legal clarification. This information is educational and not legal advice. Every traffic stop is different, and every case depends on its specific facts. If you believe your rights were violated, you should consult an attorney who can evaluate your situation directly. What I'm providing here is general information about how this ruling shifts the legal framework. Here's something that very few people are discussing yet, and it's extremely important. This decision extends beyond traffic stops. It affects how courts will evaluate searches and other situations involving lawful firearm ownership. Think about it. If officers cannot use your legal right to carry a firearm as automatic justification for searching your vehicle, what about searches involving your home? What about searches involving your person? The same Fourth Amendment protections apply. This ruling reinforces a major constitutional principle. Exercising one right cannot automatically weaken another. That is a significant development for civil liberties overall. But there's an even bigger implication. When rulings are narrowly decided, they are more likely to be challenged or revisited later. A unanimous decision carries significantly more long-term stability. This ruling also sends a clear message to lower courts and law enforcement agencies across the country. Lawful firearm ownership cannot be treated as inherently suspicious. Officers cannot use the existence of Second Amendment rights as a shortcut to bypass Fourth Amendment protections. Constitutional rights are meant to work together, not cancel each other out. For gun owners who have long argued that they are sometimes treated unfairly simply for exercising legal rights, this decision reinforces that principle at the highest judicial level. Laws change quickly and often without warning. Subscribe to this channel so you're never caught off guard when major legal developments happen. I break down important rulings as they occur and explain them in straightforward language. Now let's clarify something extremely important. This ruling does not mean police can never search your vehicle if you have a firearm. That is not what the decision says. Police can still search your vehicle when genuine probable cause exists. If a firearm is possessed illegally, if a person is prohibited from owning a firearm, or if there is evidence of other criminal activity, officers still have the authority to search. What the ruling establishes is simple, but critical. But legal firearm possession by itself is not probable cause. That distinction changes everything. Consider how this affects future legal cases. From now on, courts evaluating searches involving firearms will likely ask a key question. Did officers have specific articulable facts beyond the presence of a legally possessed firearm? If the answer is no, the search may violate Fourth Amendment protections. This creates a clearer legal framework, one that protects lawful citizens while still allowing law enforcement to perform legitimate duties. That balance is essential in any constitutional system. There's another important angle to consider. This decision arrives during a period when firearm laws are being debated heavily across different states. Some states are expanding firearm rights, while others are implementing additional restrictions. Amid that political environment, the court issued a unanimous ruling that protects both the right to bear arms and protection from unreasonable searches. That's significant. It demonstrates that constitutional protections remain central even during politically divided times. So what happens next? You may begin to see challenges to previous convictions involving questionable vehicle searches. Civil rights lawsuits may be filed against departments that relied heavily on firearm presence alone to justify searches. Policy updates and revised training procedures are also likely as agencies adapt to the new legal standard. These changes will unfold gradually over the coming months and years. Staying informed will be critical as those developments continue. Let's also address how this affects concealed carry permit holders. If you have a valid permit and are following all applicable laws, that permit represents legal authorization. In the past, some officers interpreted the existence of a permit as justification for increased search authority. This ruling clarifies that interpretation is incorrect. A carry permit demonstrates lawful compliance. It does not expand police search powers. It confirms that a constitutional right is being exercised legally. This information could directly influence how your next traffic stop unfolds. Subscribe now, because my next video explains 5 common mistakes gun owners make during traffic stops. Mistakes that sometimes lead to arrests even when no laws are being broken. Make sure you don't miss that breakdown. Now let's quickly summarize the key points you need to remember. The court ruled unanimously that police cannot use lawful firearm possession as automatic justification for a vehicle search. Officers must have specific articulable facts that establish probable cause. Second Amendment protections and Fourth Amendment protections operate together. Exercising one right does not eliminate another. This represents a major development for constitutional protections and for lawful gun owners. Know your state notification laws. Stay calm and respectful during traffic stops. Understand that you have the right to decline consent for searches. Document interactions if you believe your rights were violated. This ruling changes the legal landscape, but only if you understand it and apply that knowledge appropriately. That's exactly why channels like this exist. I spend hours each week reviewing legal cases, analyzing court opinions, and translating complex legal language into practical information. If this content helps you stay informed and protect your rights, take a moment to support the channel by subscribing. Here's the reality. If this information helps you avoid even one unlawful search, staying informed was worth it. So subscribe, enable notifications, and stay connected with this community. Final legal reminder. Everything discussed in this video is educational information about a court ruling. It is not legal advice for any specific situation. Laws vary by jurisdiction, and each case depends on its own facts. If you are facing legal charges, consult a qualified attorney. Stay safe, stay lawful, and stay informed.